The CBS Television City building on Fairfax Avenue had been open for 3 years and still smelled like fresh paint and ambition. Studio 8 was the largest space in the complex, designed for variety shows, big productions, audiences of 300. The lights hung from a grid 30 feet overhead, hot enough to make everyone sweat through their makeup. Frank Sinatra stood on the stage, hands in his pockets, looking at the orchestra in the pit. 26 musicians, charts on their stands, instruments ready. Nelson Riddle was at the conductor's podium, talking to the first trumpet about a phrase in the bridge of "I've Got You Under My Skin." The show was the Frank Sinatra Timex Show, sponsored by Timex Watches, airing live in 4 weeks on NBC. Except they weren't rehearsing for NBC. They were rehearsing for the tape. That's what Martin Ransohoff had explained 3 hours ago when Sinatra arrived for what he thought was a standard rehearsal. "We're recording everything today," Ransohoff said. He was the executive producer, 41 years old, expensive suit, expensive watch, smile like a salesman closing a deal. "Technical rehearsal, full dress, the works. We'll tape the performances, then on show night we'll broadcast the tape. It's simpler, cleaner, and if anything goes wrong, we can fix it in editing." Sinatra had looked at him. "The show's supposed to be live." "It will be. We're just insurance. In case something happens, technical issue, flubbed line, whatever. This way we have a backup." "A backup means tape. Tape means lip sync. Only if we need it. Think of it as a safety net." That was 3 hours ago. Now it was 6:14 p.m. and Ransohoff was standing in front of Sinatra with a different story. "Change of plans," Ransohoff said. "We're not doing this as backup. We're doing this as the show. You'll perform now, we'll record it, and on broadcast night we'll play the tape." Sinatra looked at him. "The audience won't see me live. They'll see you on television. That's live enough." "It's not live, it's tape." "Frank, listen to me. This is better for everyone. We control the sound, the picture, the timing. If you make a mistake, we fix it. If the orchestra makes a mistake, we fix it. We deliver a perfect show to 40 million people. And I lip sync." "You don't lip sync, you already sang it, you're just matching it." "That's lip sync." Ransohoff's smile tightened. "Frank, every variety show in America does this now. Ed Sullivan, Perry Como, Dinah Shore, they all tape performances in advance. It's standard practice. For them, for everyone, it's 1960. This is how television works." "Not with me." Ransohoff took off his glasses, cleaned them with his pocket square. "Frank, we have 150 crew members here. We have an orchestra. We have cameras, lights, sets. We have Timex paying $200,000 for this hour, and we have a schedule. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to perform the songs. We're going to record them, and 4 weeks from now we're going to broadcast them. That's the deal." "That's not the deal I signed." "The deal you signed says you'll appear on a television program. This is that program. The technical details are up to the production team. The technical detail is whether I'm singing live or pretending to sing. That's not a technical detail. That's the whole thing." "Frank, get the contract. Show me where it says I have to lip sync." Ransohoff looked at his assistant, who was standing 10 feet away with a clipboard and an expression like she wanted to be anywhere else. "Lisa, get the contract." They waited in silence. Nelson Riddle put down his baton. The orchestra sat quietly, pretending not to listen. The crew kept working, but slowly, like they were moving through water. Lisa came back with the contract. Ransohoff flipped through it, found the relevant clause, showed it to Sinatra. "Right here. Artist agrees to perform songs as directed by producer for broadcast on NBC television network." "As directed," Sinatra said, "not as recorded. Directed includes the format, and the format is tape." "Then I'm not doing it." Ransohoff stared at him. "You're refusing to perform." "I'm refusing to lip sync. If the show is live, I'll perform. If it's tape, get someone else." "Frank, be reasonable. Do you know how much this costs? Do you know how many people are counting on this?" "I know exactly how much it costs. I also know what it costs me." "What's that supposed to mean?" Sinatra looked at the microphone standing center stage, waiting for him. "It means I'm a singer, not an actor pretending to be a singer. If people want to hear me sing, they can buy a record. If they want to see me sing, they can come to a nightclub. If they want to watch me on television, I sing live. That's the deal. That was the deal when television was new. Now we have better technology. Now we can. Now you can cheat." The word hung in the air like smoke. Ransohoff's face went red. "Cheat? You think this is cheating? Every singer in America." I don't care what every singer in America does. I care what I do. And what you do, apparently, is throw tantrums and walk away from commitments. Sinatra took his hands out of his pockets. Harold, get the lawyers. Harold Klein, standing off to the side, pulled out his phone book. Frank, maybe we should. Get the lawyers. Ransohoff stepped closer. You walk away from this, you're in breach of contract. Timex will sue. NBC will sue. I will personally make sure you never work in television again. Sinatra looked at him. Martin, let me explain something to you. I've been singing for 25 years. I've done radio, records, films, television, nightclubs. And in all that time, I've never once faked it. Not once. I don't sing to tracks. I don't lip sync. I don't pretend. And I'm not starting now. Even if it means losing $200,000. Even then. Even if it means getting blacklisted. Even then. Ransohoff looked at Klein. Harold, talk to him. Make him understand what he's throwing away. Klein looked at Sinatra. Sinatra looked back. Some kind of conversation happened without words. He understands, Klein said. Then he's insane. Maybe, Klein said, but he's not wrong. Sinatra walked to the edge of the stage, looked down at Nelson Riddle in the orchestra pit. Nelson, pack it up. Riddle nodded slowly. He'd seen this before. He knew what it meant. Frank, wait, Ransohoff started. Sinatra jumped down from the stage, landed on the studio floor, walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the huge space. The crew watched him go. The orchestra watched him go. The camera operators, the lighting technicians, the assistant director, the production assistants, all of them watched him go. He didn't look back. The studio door opened, closed. He was gone. Martin Ransohoff stood alone on the stage, looking at the empty studio. Someone tell me what just happened, he said. Nobody answered. Lisa, get me Timex on the phone. Get me NBC. Get me legal. Get me everyone. The calls took 40 minutes. Timex wanted to know why their $200,000 investment just walked out the door. NBC wanted to know how they were going to fill an hour of prime time in 4 weeks. Legal wanted to know if they had grounds to sue. Ransohoff wanted to know if his career was over. At 7:30 p.m., he got a call from William Morris Agency, Sinatra's agency. They had a message. Mr. Sinatra will perform on the scheduled date if the show is broadcast live as originally planned. He will not participate in a pre-taped broadcast. Ransohoff called them back. That's not an option. The decision has been made. We're taping. Then Mr. Sinatra is withdrawing from the project. He can't withdraw. He has a contract. The contract specifies a television performance. It doesn't specify the technical format. Mr. Sinatra's interpretation is that a live performance was implied. If you disagree, we can let the courts decide. The courts will side with us. Perhaps, but the court case will take 6 months. Your show airs in 4 weeks. You'll need to find a replacement, renegotiate with sponsors, and explain to NBC why you lost Frank Sinatra over a technical detail. Good luck with that. The call ended. Ransohoff sat in his office staring at the phone. Nelson Riddle knocked on the door at 8:15 p.m. Martin, can I come in? Sure, why not? Everyone else has abandoned ship. Riddle sat down. I worked with Frank for 8 years. I've seen him walk out of studios, recording sessions, concerts. He's walked out on some of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry. And he never comes back unless they meet his terms. Never. So what are you saying? I'm saying you have 2 options. You do the show live, or you do the show without Frank Sinatra. Live television is risky. If something goes wrong, then something goes wrong. That's what makes it interesting. Interesting doesn't pay the bills. Riddle stood up. Martin, can I tell you something? The reason people watch Frank Sinatra isn't because he's perfect. It's because he's real. When he sings, you believe him. You feel it. And you can't fake that. You can't edit it. You can't manufacture it. It either happens or it doesn't. That's very poetic, Nelson. But I have sponsors and a network to answer to. Then tell them the truth. Tell them Frank Sinatra only works one way, honestly. And if they want him, they take him as he is. Or they don't take him at all. Riddle left. Ransohoff sat alone in his office until midnight, staring at the contract, the phone, the calendar on the wall showing 4 weeks until broadcast. At 9:47 a.m. the next morning, Martin Ransohoff called William Morris Agency. Put me through to whoever's handling Sinatra. One moment. The agent came on the line. This is David. This is Martin Ransohoff. I want to talk about the show. Are we doing it live? That's what I want to discuss. What if we compromise? We tape a backup, but we go live on the air. If the live broadcast works, we use it. If something goes wrong, we switch to tape. Frank won't lip sync. He wouldn't have to. We'd only use the tape if there's a technical failure. Sound cuts out, camera breaks, something like that. Let me talk to him. David called back 3 hours later. Frank says no. Either it's live or he's out. Does he understand what he's walking away from? Yes. $200,000. National television. A chance to rebuild his TV career. He understands. Then why? David was quiet for a moment. He said to tell you this. The audience deserves to see what happens, not what we want them to see. That doesn't make any sense. It does to Frank. Ransohoff hung up. He called Timex, explained the situation. Can you get another singer? The Timex executive asked. Sure, but it won't be Frank Sinatra. Will it get the same ratings? No. Then what's the point? Ransohoff didn't have an answer. He called NBC, explained the situation. What do you recommend? The NBC executive asked. I recommend we do it live. That's a risk. So is doing it without Sinatra. You're sure he won't budge? I'm sure. The NBC executive was quiet. Then, all right, live it is. But if something goes wrong, it's on you. Understood. Ransohoff called William Morris Agency back. We're going live. Smart choice. Tell Frank I want a meeting before the show. We need to go over every detail, every possible thing that could go wrong. I'll tell him. And David. Yeah. Tell him I hope he knows what he's doing. He does. Frank Sinatra Timex show aired live on December 19, 1960 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. 42 million people watched. Sinatra sang 8 songs. The orchestra hit every cue. The cameras captured every angle. The sound was perfect, except for one moment. During I've Got the World on a String, the second trumpet cracked a high note. Just one note, maybe a quarter second, but it was there. Anyone listening carefully could hear it. In a taped show, they would have edited it out. In a live show, it stayed. And 42 million people heard Frank Sinatra sing with an imperfect orchestra, and nobody cared. Because what they were watching wasn't a perfect performance. It was a real one. The reviews were ecstatic. Critics called it the best variety show of the year. Timex got more publicity than any of their previous sponsorships. NBC asked Sinatra to do another special, and that one cracked trumpet note became the proof. This was live. This was real. This was Frank Sinatra actually singing, not pretending to sing. That's what made it matter. Martin Ransohoff produced television for another 20 years. He worked on dozens of shows, won 3 Emmys, launched careers, made networks millions, but he never forgot Studio 8. In 1975, he was teaching a seminar at USC Film School. A student asked him about the difference between film and television. Film you can fix, Ransohoff said. You can shoot 20 takes, pick the best one, edit it, polish it. Television, especially live television, you get one shot. That's it. Is that better or worse? The student asked. Ransohoff thought about it. It's scarier, but it's also more honest. Why? Because the audience knows it's real. They know what they're seeing is actually happening. Not happened yesterday and got cleaned up. Happening now. And that connection, that sense of being there, you can't fake that. You can't manufacture it. So live is always better. No, but it's always real. And sometimes real is more valuable than perfect. Another student asked, did you ever work with someone who refused to compromise on that? Ransohoff smiled. Once. Frank Sinatra walked out of my studio because I wanted to tape a show instead of doing it live. Cost me 3 weeks of panic attacks. Cost the network a small fortune in rescheduling. And it was the best decision I never made. You didn't make it, he did. Exactly, he knew what mattered. I was worried about safety and perfection. He was worried about truth, and he was right. Nelson Riddle never told this story publicly, but he told it privately in 1978 to a young conductor who asked him about working with Sinatra. What made him different? Riddle thought carefully. Most singers want to sound good. Frank wanted to sound true. What's the difference? Sounding good means hitting the notes, keeping the pitch, getting the timing right. Sounding true means making you believe what you're hearing, making you feel it. Good is technical, true is emotional. Can you teach that? No, you either have it or you don't. Did Frank always have it? Riddle smiled. He had it from the first time I worked with him, but it took me years to understand what it was. I thought he was just very talented. Then I realized he wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was trying to tell the truth, even when the truth was imperfect. Especially then, Frank understood something most performers don't. The imperfections are what make it real. The cracked note, the breath in the wrong place, the phrase that doesn't land quite right. Those are proof you're human, and humans are what people connect with. The young conductor wrote that down. One more thing, Riddle said. Frank walked away from more opportunities than most singers ever get. Turned down money, turned down exposure, turned down everything. Because if it meant compromising his art, he wouldn't do it. Even when he needed the money. Especially then, that's when it matters most. When you're desperate, that's when people offer you deals that will destroy you. And Frank knew that, so he walked away, over and over. And eventually, the right opportunities found him. Martin Ransohoff kept a secret. He didn't agree to the live show just because Sinatra forced him, but because his wife challenged him to choose television that matters over playing it safe. He let the world believe Sinatra twisted his arm, but Ransohoff had consciously chosen the risk. Sinatra refused to lip-sync not to be difficult, but because he believed perfection is for machine. As one cameraman noted, most performers can be bought, but Sinatra could only be hired. He had lines he wouldn't cross. Years later, Sinatra explained that the risk of failure is what makes a performance great, stating famously that money comes back, dignity doesn't. He even refused to fix a cracked trumpet note on a recording, insisting that imperfections make art human. Sinatra risked everything to be real rather than perfect, proving that audiences care more about truth than technical flawlessness. The question remains, would you walk away from a paycheck to preserve your dignity?